For this technique, the attacker has got a blade in his hand and he's attempting a forward slash maybe towards the head, towards the throat, where if we are armed with long gun or even a sidearm, yes, of course, if we had the distance in the space, then we would take a well-aimed shot and eliminate the threat. What this technique is designed to illustrate is when space is limited. So if we're in a confined space, or maybe there's a wall or something that's in close proximity where we do not have the luxury to take that space, create that reactionary gap, and then take a well-aimed shot. So with this attempt, what we're trying to get after is breaking the gun down where the bicep and the ribs control the gun, and then we can use the firearm to initially nullify or at least minimize that forward slashing attempt towards the head. And then what we're going to do is release the master hand and get two hands onto the weapon bearing limb, drag the person down and make them pay. With this technique, forward slash attempt, we're going to have a minute, a real short amount of time to make this assessment. Of course, somebody that's wielding a blade, if we had the opportunity, we would shoot him right between the eyes and shut him down. But sometimes this blade wielding attacker may get a jump on us, maybe a surprise attack. So when this happens, so we may be focused on something in the distance, our periphery picks up the movement pattern of the attacker. Yes, if we had the distance, we would take that well-aimed shot between the lookers. But what we're after for this is to recognize it, break the gun down, and then use the gun to pin it against whatever we might have. As the attacker follows through with this slashing attempt towards the throat, which is what we can expect, we create a buffer with the gun, and then we release the master hand off of the gun to isolate with two hands onto the weapon-bearing limb. And then when it comes time to drag him out, we know that this is going to be a fight. He could be hitting me with his left hand, for example. We could be headbutting him here. As we look to drag him down, we're going to pull the arm to make it nice and long and then drag him down. And as we follow him to the ground, keep in mind that long gun has got a mind of its own. It's going to go wherever it needs to go. That's okay. We want to focus on stapling the man's shoulder to the mat, to the ground. From there, isolate the limb. Roll it over. We could be hitting him from here, of course. If he's got some fight into him and he starts to raise his hips, we know that he's wanting to get to his feet. Strike, could crank his head a little bit while we're still controlling the weapon-bearing limb. Once we disarm him, now we have the option. Do we use this on him? Do we transition to our own sidearm? Or do we simply back out, do a systems check, and then now make the assessment? So these are all viable options based on the proximity of where the attacker is wielding the blade.